All right, we're going to try and finish what we started today with the limbic system. And this is where we ended, and so we're going to continue with this. The layers of the limbic system not only process memory, so this is where you're starting to get into the metaphysical stuff, the memories and emotions. Layers of the limbic system process memories and regulate emotions. It's also involved in feelings of pleasure, pain, fear, and rage. So, in reality, with the Waterboy skit that we watched, or the Waterboy clip that we watched today, what he should have said instead of medulla oblongata, he should have used one of the things in this area of the brain. And we'll talk about those in a second. But a lot of what we know about the limbic system we actually got from cat experiments. So, and what the limbic system does is this sort of expands on the more basic functions that we talked about today with the brain stem, this area down in here. So you've got the brain stem. This here, the light gray is what we call the cortex, which is we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But this area, here's the brain stem. This is just an extension. Imagine the brain stem coming through the brain and getting into the inside of the brain. This is sort of the extension. So these are the areas that we're talking about for the rest of today. And here is the brain sort of sliced in half. Again, so here's so I guess this person would be looking this way over here. So here's your spinal column, again, medulla. You can see very well here the medulla, or the medulla oblongata, the pons, the reticular formation kind of runs through here. So here's your pons. Then you get into the midbrain area. Here's your cerebellum, or the little brain. All right, so the area we're talking about now is this area in here. All right, we've talked about the thalamus. See how it kind of sits at the very top of the spinal column. Well, this area around it is the hypothalamus. All right, and this is one of the areas we're going to talk about. First thing we're going to hit is the hippocampus, and it's this area here, and also you can kind of see it this area here. All right, it's this one of the big curvy things. All right, and it kind of is wise. It splits and it goes to two sides. All right, hippocampus actually means sea monster horse, and you can see why. It kind of looks like a seahorse. All right, this is where the things that are processed here is short-term memory, long-term memory, and spatial navigation. So, short-term memory, within the past 21 seconds generally is your short-term memory. Anything longer than that, it kind of moves towards long-term memory. We'll get more into that when we get into the cognition and memory section. And then spatial navigation, being able to move through the hallways, being able to see, what's in front of you, what's to the side of you. That's all processed here in the hippocampus. And it kind of splits. You can see it right here. You've got the mammillary body, which is a part of the hippocampus, and then it kind of wides away. So you can see this side here pretty well, and then the other side it kind of goes in behind this area here. So, but this is your hippocampus, again, seahorse monster. This is responsible for short-term memory, long-term memory, and spatial navigation. It is extremely important parts of the limbic system. I guess you have two hippocampi, and again, their job is to connect your present with your past, with memories. It's how you know who you are a lot of times. The next part is the amygdala. Not amygdala or amygdala, it's the amygdala. and it sits at the very end of the hippocampus. And it's another part of the limbic system. And this also helps with memories and emotions. It also plays the largest role dealing with feelings of pleasure. Memories that are related to pleasure. The good time you had out hiking with your family, or that party that was just lit, or whatever. But you get the idea. These pleasurable memories. The amygdala has a role to play in that. Here's a video you can watch. This is a rat. There's a piece of food here that the rat is smelling. But whenever it comes in, it sees the robot rat, which is bigger, and it freaks it out and it moves. So this is another example of an experiment. So we'll see how long it takes for the rat to come in. Again. This is a 3-minute video. Here he comes. Remember, this is dealing with memory. So the rat kind of remembers there's something in there, but isn't quite what. But it can really smell the food. See if I can fast forward a little bit. Oh, there it is again. You can kind of see it over here moving around, the shadow of it. Here it comes again. Notice how it's a lot more cautious every time out. It takes a lot longer for it to come out because it remembers being frightened, I guess. Notice they wait longer, and there it is. And the end of the experiment. So every time it came out, it waited a little longer, and the idea is that it was processing the memories of being scared of something, this thing here, every time it was in there. Here's another version. The rat's already in there. Notice they moved the food all the way to it. Now with that one, they had it fed it a couple times and hadn't moved this, and didn't move it until it had gotten the food. So anyways, the next area is the hypothalamus. We talked about the thalamus already. Well, this is the hypothalamus. Also, again, this is the under room. This deals with the 4 F's: fight, flight, food, and fornication. But these, on a more scientific note, this deals with regulating the hormones and connecting nervous and endocrine systems, and controls body temperature, hunger, fatigue, sleep, and circadian rhythm. All right, but you get into this sort of all the things we've talked about up to this point sort of gets regulated by the hippocampus, or I'm sorry, hypothalamus. So we've already talked about the nervous systems and the endocrine systems and how they connect. Well, this is where they connect. And through that connection, then you get it sort of controls the connections. So now you've got, things like, your body is being controlled, your body temperature is being controlled, your hunger, your fatigue, sleep, circadian rhythm, all that stuff. So if your hypothalamus gets injured, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. All right. Your body temperature could have issues. You can have hypo temperature or hyper temperatures. Your hunger can be thrown off. You may not get hungry at all, even though your body needs calories, or you could always stay hungry. And actually, there are people who are always hungry. They could eat to where they literally can't shove anything else down their throat, and they would still feel hungry. That is an issue with their hypothalamus. Also deals with fatigue, sleep. Circadian rhythm is your awake and your sleep cycle. And this is located directly beneath the thalamus. So here's your thalamus, here's your hypothalamus. So it's a small area for as much as it does. And it analyzes the blood in your body, so it is very heavily blood fed, so it can analyze it, and then based on what it analyzes, it does all these things. When it detects an imbalance, it tells the body how to respond. So if you're don't have enough water, like I don't right now because my mouth is dry, and it's telling me that I'm thirsty. So my blood must be a bit thick, or at least not have enough water. I haven't eaten much breakfast today, or it's about time for lunch. So it's reading that I need some calories, or at least some glucose to function, for my body to function. So it's telling me that I'm hungry. All this stuff is going through the hypothalamus. So, and that's sort of the last thing of the limbic system. Like I said, it wasn't a whole lot of slides, and this isn't a very long video, but we'll do another one a little later on, and we will talk about the second part of the brain that we haven't gotten to. So we've talked about the spinal column, and we've talked about the midbrain, or the limbic system. Actually, we'll use the term limbic system, and we'll talk about the cortexes in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.